Recording in progress.
All right, so I'd like to call to order the Wednesday, February 19th, 2025 meeting of the Lower Salford Township Board of Supervisors, and ask everyone to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you. That brings us to our public comment item on our agenda. Is there anyone wishing to be recognized? Seeing none, we'll move along. I'll take an approval of the work session meeting minutes of January 15th, 2025. Pending any comments or edits.
I'll make the motion to approve both pending any comment.
I just have one edit. I'll pass it along to Doug. It's just a typo. It says instead of office, it says officer. Process for new officer.
Which,
It is what, it said office, not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a minor.
One more comment as well. The first February 4th on the last paragraph, one of the last sentences is Doug noted that there's been issue with the fiber optic cable between 113 and Oak Drive. A squirrel chewed through the line and will be replaced. I just want to
Squirrel will be
clarify.
replaced.
We're not going to replace the squirrel. Let's clarify for the public that we don't intend to replace the squirrel, but we will replace the line. Might sound a little bit. That's my only
Thank
say.
you.
I will amend my motion to accept both of those.
I'll second.
all right, moved and seconded with the edits. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Public Works Director, Mr. Jones.
Morning, Mr. Chairman. Just an update on some projects, the Bergen Mill Road Bridge, contractor is scheduled to start back on that project either this week or next. We've been trying to acquire some of the large rocks that were part of the old bridge abutment. We're running into a little bit of hurdles with disposal requirements and whether or not it's actually clean fill. So we're trying to navigate those waters, and I know it's, yeah, never mind. Keep my opinion to myself.
While it may be shared, we best keep it to ourselves.
Roberts Road Bridge, got nothing new to report on that. Yoder Road sidewalks, coordinated with property owners with feedback on the revised plans. Main Street sidewalk, fortunately nothing new to report on that either. The community center concept plan, the team met with Barry Isaac Associates, do the building concept and discussed various topics so that they can formulate a preliminary site plan for the project. We did discuss stormwater management and the possible need for an NPDES permit depending on the. They also mentioned that one of the challenges that site drains to two separate watersheds.
That I'd like to see on the plan too. Ken had mentioned that to me. Yes, the overall site does, but the area that we're disturbing would appear to all drain to the one direction.
Get it? Just looking at the bridge contour
Yeah.
that we have from like for our GIS system, it does look like essentially the driveways.
The midpoint.
Goes in the other direction, so to the east it goes to the west branch. And then to the west it goes to the median bridge.
Let's get the preliminary, then let's do a little deep dive on that. Just came out in December. Yeah, and then, yeah, if you can get the preliminary plan and we can meet as a group, let's have some discussion on that because it's some experience that we can pull from to help with that.
Scout cabin is located possibly an additional restroom facility that will serve as temporary for the pool during construction and then also as a supplement facility projects completed. I talked about circulation access through the site as well. And then we also after the meeting we talked about public notification and how the public involvement, public input. So when, Joe had had some thoughts and just wanted to get up with the board and see if you had any suggestions, any ideas, any time frame that we need to try and work within and try and deadlines to try and meet to get this project along.
I think from my viewpoint, if we can get a preliminary site plan that we're comfortable with, get the plan revised per feedback everybody had, so that we have something that's somewhat refined to go out with, and certain questions that are able to be answered, and enough room to still have time to refine it based on the feedback we receive. So I think we're getting close to when we would have the right plans to do this.
It'd be
Maybe
better
like
with
an open house or something.
Yeah, it'd be better with some kind of, at least, even if it's an 80 or 85% site plan, so
Right.
that it's refined enough that folks can actually look at it and offer comments, appropriate comments.
We have a meeting scheduled with Barry Izett next week, next Thursday, to review their first go around at it, and then provide feedback based on that. So I expect probably another 2 weeks for another revision. So that puts us in
Sometime in April, sounds like.
towards the end of March.
And we would, I assume, be opening it up for public comment on all the projects that are involved. All the
Yeah.
moving pieces.
I like the idea, if we have, I definitely have time permits to have an open house. We had, members of the public come to our last communications committee and emphasize that, and we received feedback prior that the open house with the Letterrock study, we had a lot of people come through. Clearly, we should have the option if somebody wants to email something or come to the office as well, because not everybody might make such date, but if we have the means to do that, we might get a lot of feedback. And if anything else, it gets attention. Somebody couldn't make it. Oh, I didn't know about that. Well, here's an email. You can email your suggestions. That would be my suggestion.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of avenues for us to get
Yeah.
the word out, through our website, through our social media channels. I mean, we even talked about the possibility of using the local youth associations and kind of hijacking their influence and getting it out to the parents and try to get as much cast the widest net as we can to garner the public input that we're looking for.
And the other piece, I guess, is when are we bringing the senior center group back in to have the discussion of, if we build it, will they come? If we build it, what will they pay? That
Right.
discussion. I mean, are we at that point to?
I've had preliminary discussions with them and shared the preliminary plans,
Yeah.
the building layout, and asked for feedback. And I haven't gotten back to them and asked for any final comments, because I know that most likely the layout will change somewhat.
Yeah.
I think they were satisfied with the layout that we had shown. But we haven't had any discussions as far as, financial participation, or any of those kinds of issues. I think just in the initial conversations, where they're excited for the new building, and they think it will be, especially in the location where it's at, being that much more visible, and with all the different activities that are going to be involved with the project, with the building, that they absolutely see their numbers increasing and being, sustainable moving forward.
So there might be better to have a stakeholder meeting first.
Right.
And then the public.
Yeah.
Let's-
Yeah, and even if it's a matter of, hey, that's great, but we don't need that much office space, or we need a little
Right.
more, because something like that could be helpful. Well,
And to make sure it's all fully understood that it's a shared use space and it is not
Yeah.
and that could be something, make sure they need locks or whatever they want, so because
They
we
have
can
a-
rent these spots, they'll
Yeah,
lock things in
yeah.
the office.
or what will be, if we lease it to them, will be their
Dedicated.
dedicated space and then their
Ish.
shared use space.
Thank you, Doug.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
James House. Still involved. Additional cost for the demo. Grant projects, Centrax, adaptive and the detection upgrade, it's the TST grant. Armor and Sons and signal control products are, so the next couple of weeks. We've had a number of issues with traffic signals going in flash,
They've been on flash more than they've operated properly.
coming out flashing back into flash and trying to reset and just having, struggles, so we're trying to figure out, is it an armor issue, is it a signal control issue? I don't know, they're upgrading the controller, so maybe there's something there. So I've been trying to get some answer from signal control, but so far they've been responsive for, the issues and have come out and because Higgins won't touch on the signals because they're under construction. Yeah, so we're working through those issues.
So do they think they have a handle on it now, or are they still trying to figure this out? Okay. Very good.
Big bill.
That's what I'm.
Communication issue. Get that scheduled. This is being done through Higgins and there are 5.
It's not another squirrel, is it?
What's that?
It's not another squirrel.
Six.
Same.
On modernization and meaning Paul and being at Walmart. Just some department activities, it keeps coming. We've had 4 minor events in the last 2 weeks, 4 events total 3.5 inches of accumulation. So we're just, unfortunately, we're using solvent. There's just no other issue, especially with these ice storms, the cold temperatures, it's just extremely difficult. Unfortunately, it's taking up a lot of time between the salting, hooking up plows, and we do have to plow with these minor events. We generally try to plow so that the salt's more effective, and we're not trying to melt an inch and a half with an inch of ice, we're just, melting what the residual that's left. Plowing, the unhooking of plows, all the cleanup, so just a significant amount of time that's expended through this process, just kind of, they paint the bridge, we just, do it once and start back over and do it all.
You're getting good at it.
Very
We are
good.
getting practice, that's for sure. We are experiencing some delays in fall delivery. Everybody's, in the same predicament that we are, and demand is high. Apparently there's some issues with, I talked with the salt supplier yesterday. They've been waiting for a ship to come into port for about a week now. So-
Is that at Baltimore?
No, it's down, Farrell's Hills.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, they're telling me they expect it Friday and have it unloaded by Monday and have deliveries to us on Monday. Fortunately, we're not at a critical point, especially with the reprieve that we've gotten for today and tomorrow. People are being, we're okay. We do have 3 orders that are outstanding, totaling 400 or 500 tons of salt, so there's a lot out there that we're yet to receive. Worked on some tree removal behind Bullfrog Cafe. There were some dead trees that were leaning and hazardous. Just tree work with the winds that we had over the weekend, and we continue to work on all the sign as part of the resurfacing program. That is all that I have. You got any questions?
Any questions from Mr. Jones?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice job.
Obviously, let us know if that shipment doesn't come in, we go from there, but that's all.
Well, we do have another supplier. We participate in both the CoStar's contract, which is through the state, and the Montgomery County Consortium of Communities.
Remember that was the one that we did where, we had to, because we do 113 and all, they wanted to make sure we had that backup plan we were saying in the past, I believe.
Well, it's our choice.
Right.
Unfortunately, the cost difference is pretty drastic. It's about $15 a ton more than we CoStar's. In the CoStar's contract, you have to give them an estimated quantity, an estimated need at the beginning of the year. And then you're obligated to purchase 60% of that number, but you have a ceiling of 140% of that. So when there's such a disparity in pricing, I'll just order the bare minimum, satisfy the requirement, and then go to the consortium contract. And it's with the consortium contract that we're having issues with delivery. I don't know whether the CoStar contract has issues or not. I haven't reached out. But that's our next step. There are provisions in the consortium contract that allow us to go elsewhere and recover the difference in cost through the distortion of the contract.
Appreciate your preparedness and everybody's work. Your whole crew does a great job. So
The
thank you.
amazing thing with the Coast Guard contract is it depends on where you are in the state, what your price is. And our price is, I think, somewhere in the middle of the pack overall. There are places in the middle of the state, I would think, that would have much higher delivery costs that are $10 a ton, less than what.
It's all coming in by boat and you gotta truck it there.
I know, but it's cheaper. That's
Oh,
the
it's less
point.
you're saying. I thought you were saying. Yes. Deal, let's see. Yes.
Well, they work it on, I mean. Really don't even be any. You know, they distribute the,
That's crazy.
It'd be cheaper through co-stars because they bid against each other. Kind of thing. Just.
Oh, and what happened is customers. So. This is what 2 years ago.
Right.
They just. Since then, so there hasn't been a competitive bid put out for the Coast Guard's contract in 3 years.
Right.
This will be the first year, and then next year will be the first year that. Yeah, so
Yes,
it's not as,
Yeah.
as attractive financially as you might think.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Moving on, Chief Medwood.
Yes, sir. Update on our hiring process with your approval. We are prepared to make a probationary offer, to David Sandry. Consensus with the interview panel, extensive background. Great fit, Lower Southford. He is currently a Jenkins Pound officer for 11 years. Currently downsizing from 14 to 8 officers, and he's number 9. So he's looking. That is to come to us. Great. In fact, he's a little bit busy with fire.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Be prepared to meet Friday. With an extended probationary offer. I know his chief, saying the transition. We're prepared to start him next Monday.
Terrific.
In a week of orientation. Monthly meeting, get him sworn in, along with the free promotion, all 4 at the same meeting. The 5th.
Does he come in with any, does he transfer any years of service or is he starting fresh here with us?
Pennsylvania, you need 12 years. If that's your pension.
Yeah.
Anything under that. Vital contribution plus interest.
Got it.
Hard to believe they wouldn't get them to the 12-year, but
Yeah.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Well, they're lost in our game, it sounds like.
Okay.
very low number of applications, but.
Good quality. Where does he live?
Oh,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's
Great.
Excellent.
Appreciate you and the police committee's efforts on the hiring.
Good outcome. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a thumbs up.
We're all speaking positively, Tom.
Thank
Do we need a
you.
motion
Thank
or
you.
anything for him to extend that probationary offer?
It's a,
something you do.
yeah, you do it for me.
Meeting, okay, very good.
Thank you.
It's
Thanks, Steve.
probationary.
All right, moving right along. Anything else, chief?
That's it.
All right, moving right along, Mr. Buki, Building and Zoning Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So far, 15 permits that were issued, opting 15. We're at the lower end of the bell curve anyway, but compared to last year, we're still pretty low with permits so far this year. I don't know if it's the cold or if it's just the overall year-to-year bell curve, because we've been seeing some highs in permit issuance for the past several years since I came on board. And so far this year, it's been pretty low. Necessarily from the development perspective, we've been pretty busy on the planning commission level. We do not have a zoning hearing board for March, and we have 196 Main Street that's going to be coming up on the planning commission agenda for next week, and that's where the final consideration of final recommendation for final approval there. And we have a new subdivision, it's a minor subdivision, an 862 Harleysville Pike. That's at the end of Wukon Road, Harleysville Pike, where the old house is. pretty close.
Cornies?
Sorry.
Is that the Corny?
Yes.
Yeah,
Correct. Residents. And they're going to be in front of the planning commission next week as well. We're continuing to work on the proposed right-of-way amendments in the BC district amendments. That came on the board's comments last they discussed. So potential agenda items for March meeting would be 196 Main Street, final consideration of final approval there. 645 Store Road subdivision. Oh, that was actually supposed to be on the February agenda, but the applicant pulled themselves off because of availability, schedule conflict. So they're most likely to be on for your March meeting. And the Morewood Road subdivision at Battlefield Lane, so that's likely to be on the agenda as well. They just need to tie up the sewer capacity and the official plan revision for the electric set. So they're working on that as long as that moves forward appropriately, then I see that on the agenda as well. And then 862 Harleysville Pike. That's a pretty simple minor subdivision, so you might see that on the agenda.
Mike has, based on our discussions with Chinmaya at the last board meetings, have they taken the appropriate steps to replenish the escrow and start the conversations with Michelle to get to where we suggested they need to go?
Yes,
Good.
they moved the ball forward, submitted the required escrow, and as far as I know, CKS is doing the site visit and
Very good. Anything else? Any other questions for Mr. Buki?
Nope.
All right, having none, Mr. Jakowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item under my report today, we received some concerns from residents about brake retarder use on 113. Residents in the Cheswick development have complained. They reached out to PennDOT. PennDOT asked them to reach out to the township. I did ask Stephanie to attend this morning, and she can give you an overview of the process of what needs to happen. So the township needs to ask PennDOT if we want to move forward with a brake retarder study. So they need to do a study first, I believe. It's Stephanie, why don't you
Sure. That's correct. So, on any state road or local road for that matter, brake retarders can be requested by the municipality to PennDOT. PennDOT has the jurisdiction over whether or not it meets requirements for brake retarder signage. They would go out and do a study. They would look at a number of factors, including the grade of the road, crash history, speed limits, things like that. If they deem that brake retarder signage is appropriate, then it lies on the municipality to erect the signs, maintain the signs, and then enforce the condition. So in this case, I'm not 100% sure what the limits of 113 would be considered for this particular area, based on the residents' concern. Obviously, in front of Cheswick, the grades are not as much of an issue, but as you move towards Maple and then down, obviously, towards Main Street, the grades of 113 could be a factor. I also am not sure, I guess, if it is an existing concern or if it's something just with the volume of trucks on 113. There's really no stop conditions in that segment between, I mean, it's Landis and Oak, but that would be the other question, is understanding where the problem is and whether or not this is something the township would want to pursue through PennDOT. They did one, if I don't know if anybody remembers, but a while back in 2018, we did make a similar request for Salfordville Road, and they, because of the grades of the road, they denied it. It was not allowed to have brake retarder signage. And I believe we also talked about this maybe a year and a half ago along Oak Drive as a possible consideration, which we did not pursue further. So really the question becomes whether or not the township is interested in us, putting in a request to PennDOT for them to do the study. And then depending on what the results of the study say, the implementation and maintenance and enforcement issue of such signage.
Yeah, I mean, I just wonder if it's them going northbound and going to the curb. I just don't know why that's a straight shot without any stops, why the braking would even occur.
Because the light backs up a little bit, maybe they're slowing down.
I don't know.
I don't.
Yeah.
Some kind of preparation.
Is it one person in Cheswick or is it a group in Cheswick?
Well, one person who has said that she is speaking for a large.
A similar person.
Chief? Is there,
Yeah, we refer.
you guys are out there all night.
We all have reviewing. Jake.
Yeah.
And Stephanie is the expert in this, but the issue of grading is if the grade, at some point, the grade dictates that you don't eliminate a safety feature.
Right.
So if we had an issue on a flat surface, but why would you? Unless there was some stop condition. I would be reluctant to a safety feature. That would cause.
Right.
I hear Jake Brace. I hear fire whistles overnight, I hear trains overnight. And I defer to Stephanie process. Going, where is that swing? Decline and
I don't have an inclination at this point if PennDOT would say yay or nay on it, right? I'm not sure what their result is going, what their result is going to be, but again, it's going to be the limit too of what the area that they're looking at for the grade, the speed would meet. I don't know what they would find as far as the accident history.
What would be our next step? So, if they want to do a study in regards to Oak, I remember when we talked about it, once it became a safety thing, obviously safety, it's unfortunate, but we did have that discussion. If we do a study, does that cost us? How much would that cost us? Or is that on PennDOT? What was our next process?
I believe PennDOT pays for the studies.
Yeah, so
That-
we would, all
No
the township would have to
problem.
do
Study.
is, all the township would have to do is send a letter or an email to the traffic unit at PennDOT and request that a study be done along this section of 113 to evaluate brake retarder signage. That's as simple as, an email request or a letter, from the township asking them to do that. Then the traffic unit, Don Senafani and the traffic unit would perform the study and ultimately issue his response back. And let you know one way or the other if it would either meet or not meet. And then if it meets, it would be the township's responsibility to post the signage. And like I said, maintain the signage and then enforcement of any
The question
concerns
comes
that-
down to, what does enforcement look like on that? So once the sign goes up and a neighbor hears a Jake break, we're setting, I mean, you're not gonna sit out there and do Jake break enforcement on a regular routine basis, I would imagine,
On the state road.
on a state road.
Any more of these, I see these signs everywhere. We almost ought to put signs up where you can use them.
Right.
And eliminate 90% of the signs, because
definitely-
they have them everywhere now.
It definitely might be hard
A lot of
to
places
get a call.
put
You
them
run
out.
out there, the car is gone, but it could deter in some way. I think if there's no hurt on us, if we can't rule it out as a safety issue right now.
Any section that you would make a prohibition, does that impact your traffic impact fee or?
No, I don't believe so.
And if the department comes back and writes a letter and says, okay, the township may install Jake brake signs, does that obligate us then to do that? Or can we decide at that point whether or not we're gonna install those signs and enforce that area?
That is a very good question, and I do not know the answer to that immediately. If you have the option to determine that or not, I will have to find that out for sure. As I'm sitting here, that was going to be my next question to myself, was to figure out if that obligates. I don't think it's not like a traffic signal warranted meets it warrants and you have to put it in once you have that documentation. I think that's a different situation. This is a matter of choice, but by making the request, you're kind of committing to doing it if it results in that.
Well, I guess, here's my one question. In the, what for, so neighbor, she sent an email
Yes.
saying, I hear Jake brakes and I don't want to. What was the nature of the comment?
The complaint was, and I think you saw a copy of it, didn't you, as well, was the number of trucks and the use of the Jake brakes of the number of trucks along 130.
At a specific time of day, in general? I mean, I guess the question is, how do you, if I'm sitting on my front porch and I see someone driving through the neighborhood, I'm gonna think everybody's speeding. Then we do speed control and you realize everybody's doing 25 miles an hour and it's just, so is this, how do we validate the actual concern? I mean, because my guess is, if the ground is perfectly level and there's no safety reason, PennDOT can easily come back and say, well, there's no reason you can't put a prohibition on this. But are we chasing something that's
Right.
more than a perceived issue versus an actual issue?
Well, for all we know, it could be, Indian Creek or them going down to the quarry, loaded, and that's the break they're hearing. It's not on 113. I mean, we don't really know one way or the other.
Would it be worthwhile to, if there's concern with the board, okay, let's see that where it's reach out to the person and, just to elaborate more, come in or talk to us or.
Yeah,
reach out to more neighbors.
Jerry, just see if you know, is it at night? Is it in the morning? See it at night? Well, that's what I'm saying. But Dave, if we can maybe probe a little bit, so we can
No, you're right.
maybe give PennDOT more feedback as to the nature of it from that standpoint.
Seems nebulous at this point.
There's too
Most
many,
of these requests usually are.
but that's what, there's too many cars. Well, okay. Let's narrow it down.
I have the email here. It does indicate that it appears maybe there was a sign there. It indicates that there used to be a sign a long time ago. That's the extent of that. And then
That said what?
it just said brake retarder restrictions. There used to be one on 113 a long time ago. But somehow it's not there anymore. I'm not aware of that having been in place. I don't know how long is a long time ago.
Before my day.
And then it just says that
We'll discuss that.
they're using brake retarders all along this route. So there's not a specific location, like there's no indication of time of day or.
I'm not opposed to the PennDOT study, but I would like some more information just to narrow the focus of what we're looking at. Because then we at least understand what we're trying to solve.
Yeah, if the problem is
Yeah.
2 o'clock in the morning. We should know that, so we can tell PennDOT, they probably aren't gonna send somebody out to do the study at 2 o'clock in the morning.
But just
Maybe.
I mean, they'll do the study if we say to do the study.
Right, that-
So, and I'm okay either way, but yeah.
just a little bit more detail would all be helpful. Okay.
Can you just later?
To be continued.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Very good.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Joe?
No.
Brief item of executive session
Yes.
Regarding
matter of real estate.
matter of real estate
Personnel.
and personnel. So we are going
Apparently
to,
there's too much.
One more question, management, Joe. I know you mentioned before you were looking into the idea of changing, broadening our hours and shifting. How's that going?
We're still discussing with
Okay.
staff and getting some feedback.
Very good.
all right. Anything else for the good of the community? With that, then we'll take a motion to adjourn to executive session without the intent to return.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved in second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion
Thank you.
carries.
All right. Have a good
You got
day.
it. See
Bye
you.
bye.
Thank you.
You have going.